Hello and welcome to our weekly class in the Torah Portion. I'm Sondra Baras, and today we are going to be discussing the final verses of the book of Leviticus. The Torah Portion is called Behukotai, and the definition of that, in my statutes. And this whole Torah portion is essentially a covenant between God and the nation of Israel. We have a very similar covenant set out towards the end of Deuteronomy. And when we say a covenant, we talk about a kind of covenantal contractual arrangement. And the structure here is really very, very simple. If you obey my statutes, then I will give you all kinds of rewards. If you disobey my statutes, then I will give you all kinds of punishments. Set up as it is in this very parallel sort of way with conditions and reward or punishment. Regarding the condition, this is a classic covenantal kind of framework. And before we actually go in and take a look at what the content of the covenant is, I just want to point out something that I think is very, very interesting. And we'll return to some of the more some of the ramifications of this, but just so that we have an understanding of what these covenants are about, let's take a look at the language towards the end of the covenant, and this is in chapter 26, verses 44 and 45. And yet, for all that, when they be in the land of their enemies, I will not cast them away, neither will I loathe them to consume them and to make void my covenant with them, for I am the Lord their God. But I will, for their sakes, remember the covenant of their ancestors, whom I brought forth out of the land of Egypt in the eyes of the nations, that I might be their God. I am God. What we have here set up at the very end of this section of the covenant is that there are actually two covenants. What we will be reading and we will be discussing together today is this current covenant that God sets forth with the nation of Israel. But at the same time, he refers to a previous covenant, the covenant that he made with our forefathers, what he calls here the earlier covenant, or the original covenant. And therefore, we have two covenants set out. This covenant is a covenant that sets forth conditions. If you obey, you will have rewards. If you disobey, you will have punishments. But it is subject to the original covenant. And the original covenant is an unconditional promise made to our forefathers, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, an unconditional promise that God will be our God, the nation of Israel is his chosen people, and the land of Israel will be ours. And that's something that we need to keep in mind. We'll go back to these verses at the end of our discussion today. But setting this forward, we have a covenant that comes alongside a previous covenant.
To watch this program in its entirety, go to www.glc.us.com or simply click the link below.